Enslaved times are a little bit, some would say no different than these times. Enslaved times on the plantation, what the slave master would do is the slave master would make an example of a black person. And they would brutalize, they would mutilate, they would torture, and they would put violence upon that body. And in doing that, they were hoping to show the rest of the black folks what would happen if they ever stepped.
Hello everybody, welcome. This is Nico from Unicorn Riot. We have Georgia on the camera, Chris in the back end. We're here live at Minneapolis, Minnesota. This is a rally that's getting started for Jacob Blake. Jacob Blake was a father of three, shot by Kenosha Police Department yesterday in Wisconsin, in Kenosha, Wisconsin. And the community came out in Kenosha very abruptly. The community has now come out here in Minneapolis to show solidarity with what the community was asking for, was some justice, some accountability. The police officers, you hear he just got out of surgery from the speaker that said the people are asking for justice and accountability from the police. The officers have not been fired. They've been put on administrative leave. There's been no other consequence yet. Jacob Blake is said to be alive after enduring those shots. He's a father of three, and he had broken up a domestic fight and was walking away from the police when they sort of dragged his shirt, shot him in the back numerous times. So we're going to bring you into the rally, and we'll check it out, and we'll be here through this evening. We're not really sure what to expect, but we think that the march is going possibly to a police precinct, and you see the energy here. It's a few hundred here, so thank you. Thanks for joining us. If you're just tuning in, you can check out unicornriot.ninja for more media.
You may have told somebody to go vote and felt satisfied. You may have posted something online and felt satisfied. You may have had a conversation and felt satisfied. You may have shown up to
signs say fuck 12, no justice, no peace.
That's not enough because our work is never done.
Justice for Jacob Blake. Enough is enough.
And you have no right, no means, and no say in when you feel satisfied in this fight. And even using any word of satisfaction or connotations associated with it are extremely dangerous. You may think that you get to take the day, week, weekend, month, or year, or lifetime off. And if you can, it's because it is your direct privilege from the measures that the Kenosha Police Department used upon Jacob Blake. We keep repeating that this is not a moment, this is a movement. But the action that you're taking right now, you need to sustain that. And when people rally together, a march in less than 24 hours, they don't do it because they don't have anything going on the next day. They do it because this fight does not stop, because white supremacy does not sleep, and because we will not stop the fight. The other thing to know is that Jacob was breaking up a fight. Jacob was breaking up a fight in his community. And if you've been anywhere near Milwaukee, Racine, Kenosha, or Chicago, you understand that in the black community there is solidarity and safety in that solidarity. And the second that white bodies show up with badges and guns, it escalates. We are here today to say that we do not need them in the form that they believe they need to show up. The police presence escalates the violence. And we are here to say no more. So if folks that want to rant and spit back and lash out at Nakima and all the folks that were there at a certain rally over a week ago and say that they were terrorized or that they were disrupted, well then you can imagine how it feels to be in Jacob Blake's family. You can imagine how it feels to be black in Racine or Kenosha. You can imagine how it feels to be black in America. It's a continual disruption. It's a lifetime of terror, and white people need to check it now. traces of your right leadership in that building and all around us here, of Jacob Fry, Lisa Bender, of everybody from City Council, of everybody that's the political leadership that needs to be checked and most definitely replaced. Because it is not working. It is not working at all. A man was shot in his back. And can you imagine what's going to happen if those cops are not charged, tried, and gone to prison? Can you imagine the tone that's setting for Jacob's kids? You look at war states of Palestine and Israel. You look at war states of Pakistan and India, and you say, oh my goodness, how did it get there? You look at Kenosha and you know. You look at places like Minneapolis and you know. When authority goes unchecked, we will have to put it in check. And that may scare some of you, and I'm okay with that. I am absolutely fine with that. I do not encourage or condone violence, but for people that have lived a lifetime of being put into a corner, a lifetime of being treated like a criminal, when their rage has been absolutely justified, you can imagine their retroaction is going to be that of somebody that's been absolutely tortured. And I can't judge that. I can't measure that. So you have to know that right now we're standing in solidarity with Kenosha, with justice for Jacob Blake, and that all the police officers involved are held accountable and brought to justice, so that they know down the road when they do this again, or if they think about doing this again, something is going to happen. There is going to be direct accountability for law enforcement taking the lives of black people. Say his name! Say his name! Say his name! Say his name! What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? All power to the people.
We're here live in Minneapolis with Toussaint Morrison speaking at a Justice for Jacob Blake rally.
I agree with Toussaint, y'all, but Toussaint didn't say he was at that rally too just over a week ago. Don't be scared. Don't be ashamed. We said what we said. We did what we did. It is what it is.
We're talking about the Bob Crow rally in Hugo, Minnesota. Drew a lot of criticism from sort of the right-wing and corporate media from John Thompson's
So next
speech.
I'm going to call out Loretta Van Pelt, Twin Cities Coalition for Justice for Jamar. This mother, this activist, this woman has been on the front lines for years, holding it down no matter what. Let's hear it up for Loretta.
How's everybody doing? Okay. Here's the thing. I'm sick and tired of this happening all the damn time. It needs to stop. It needs to stop. How many more Jacobs and Georges and Briannas and Ahmaud Arbery's do we need for them to realize that our lives matter? How many more? I've gone to city council meetings. I've gone to this man's stupid office 16 times.
She's talking about Mike Freeman,
To ask
Hennepin
him
County
for
attorney.
justice, to ask these people for justice, and they never give it to us. I don't know, what is it going to take? Every town in this country to burn for them to give us justice? That's what is going to have to happen, is every town in this country is going to have to burn for them to give us any sense of justice. I didn't prepare anything because this keeps happening. It seems like we're just always on alert. And I'm sick of being on alert. I got better things to do than to be on alert about my life.
Yeah, the ASL interpreter out here. We have auto captions on Facebook. Check it out on Facebook if you are watching elsewhere. We want some auto captions.
Something needs to change. And it needs to change now. We've been asking for change and they never give it. So now I'm demanding it. Now they need to give it to us because it seems like every summer, every year, I'm protesting. I'm saying name every year. And I want to stop saying names, and I want to start seeing police officers in handcuffs going to jail.
It's been a steady cry here in the Twin City area for many years.
I want to start seeing the systematic change that we need. I want to see that instead of budgets going to the police, they go to our schools. They go to our homes. They go to mental health. They go to people with disabilities. Because enough is enough. And we keep saying that enough is enough, but it truly is enough. And I'm getting sick and tired of this. And I know you all are getting sick and tired of it too, but we need to keep our feet in the streets. We need to keep pressure on these people. They're scared now. They're scared because they now know. They now know we mean business. They now know we played their game and we've been losing all the time. So now we need to change up the game and change the pieces. So that's all I wanted to say. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you all so much for letting me speak today. Let's get justice for Jacob Blake. Let's get justice for George Floyd. Let's get justice for Breonna Taylor. Let's get justice for Trayvon Keller. He died this Saturday in Lafayette, Louisiana, by the police as well.
He was also shot in the back.
All these people deserve justice, and we're going to fight for justice. Thank you.
We're here at a Jacob Blake Solidarity Rally in downtown Minneapolis, the Government Center. Hearing from speakers from the community.
Next, I want to call out another mother who has been on the front lines fighting since her son, Hardell Sherrill, was killed inside of a detention center. She has been on fire, speaking her truth. I don't know where she gets her strength, but let's give it up for Ms. Delcia.
If you want to know more about Hardell Sherrill's case, check out our website, unicornriot.ninja. We were the first to publish the jail videos of his unfortunate death inside Beltrami County. We've been following that case pretty closely.
Just as the other mother said, enough is enough.
This is his mother, Delcia
I was
Perry.
at a Black Lives Matter rally yesterday, and I didn't want to speak because it is hard. It is so hard to get up here and tell the same story. So yesterday I said I'm not gonna say it because I didn't want to say it. And when I saw that young man, Blake, get shot in the back for trying to break up a fight, it just brought tears to my eyes. As a mother who's lost her only son, only child. It is enough. And I pray every single day, I pray, Lord, please help us bring peace on earth as it is in heaven. And allow those who keep doing Satan's work to be held accountable. And like she said, police officers and the like need to be prosecuted to the highest of the law. Correctional officers and anybody that's in law enforcement, they should not be above the law. They need to be held accountable for the blood that is on their hands. Minnesota is hurting. It isn't Minnesota nice. It never was Minnesota nice. It's Minnesota hurting, and it's Minnesota angry now. And we demand justice now. No justice. No peace. No justice. No peace. No justice. No peace. And I've been saying no Jesus, no peace. No Jesus, no peace. I'm tired of this. Nakima shows up every time. Son shows up every time. And you guys come out and you rally. Those of you who've not lost a loved one. And I just want to say thank you, but I'm tired. Thank you.
Delcia Perry. Again, her only son, died in Beltrami County 2 years ago on September 2nd. It's coming up on the 2-year anniversary of her son's death.
Can I have a couple of people to come over and comfort Miss Delcia Perry, please? She is a hurting mother. That was her only son, y'all. And she needs strength in the midst of what she's going through.
The community
with no
always comes together
accountability.
when it comes to these situations.
None so
support
far.
from the community is
Lies,
amazing.
cover-ups. That shouldn't have happened to her baby. They treated him like he wasn't even human. This pain is real. It's real. And she's going through it every day, waking up without her only son. This stuff is serious. So any conservative media here, Alpha News, Mill City, the rest of y'all who we don't know, tell the damn truth. Stop propagating lies. Tell the truth about what we go through out here. Or stop showing up. Spend your time at Trump rallies and the people with the flags and all that other nonsense. Leave us the hell alone. We ain't messing with y'all. We're just trying to speak our truth. For what we have been through in this country, what we have been through in this community, and it is very real and it's still going on. And there's far too many people who aren't comfortable with what's going on. Lord have mercy. With that, I'm going to call up Dorian Scott from Communities United Against Police Brutality to say a few words. Let's give Dorian a
There's
hand.
about 25 community members just giving big hugs to Delcia Perry.
Hello, everybody. I'd like to say thank you all for coming out and looking for justice. This thing is just not here. It's the city council, it's city hall. They are locking the doors. They won't tell us when the meetings are, so we can do something about this. They still have Ku Klux Klan members in the police force. So they don't intend to do any changes. They don't intend to bring justice. They're doing the same old things that they was doing that caused George Floyd's death, that caused all these other deaths. So it's just a terrible thing, a terrible state we're in. We're fighting the same fight that we've been fighting for 400 years. Emmett Till, the list goes on. I don't know what else to say. I don't know what else to say. Action, we need action. We're here. But it needs to be pretty much every day. Because they're working on ways to not give us justice every day. Every day they wake up early to not give us justice. So that's where we are.
Let's give Dorian another round of applause.
Dorian Scott.
Next, I'm going to call up DJ from Twin Cities Coalition for Justice for Jamar. He joined the movement recently, but he's been putting in the work day in and day out. Let's give it up for DJ.
Again, we're here live in Minneapolis. Jacob Blake Solidarity Rally. The community is speaking
All right.
before marching.
So y'all need to understand that America has been at war with black and brown bodies for over 400 years. And I just want you to know that we need time, okay? We need time, we have family, we have friends, and we need basic necessities like the ability to fucking breathe, okay? That's what we need. This right here is stressful. I can't speak to what happened in the video. I can't stomach it. I can't watch it anymore. I can't keep up with it anymore. There's stuff going on down over in Wisconsin. There's stuff going on in Louisiana. I don't have time for it. I'm trying to organize here. I'm trying to help here. And I'm getting attacked from all directions. This is ridiculous. So I talked to my dad last week.
on the phone, and my dad tried to tell me that change doesn't come quick. And I need to accept that change when that comes in my lifetime. And I also watched 4 hours of speeches from Malcolm X and MLK the other night. And I tried ignoring the fact that the videos were in black and white, right? So I closed my eyes. And I just listened to what they were saying. And I was shook to my core. When on multiple occasions it sounded like they were talking about Jacob Blake. When it sounded like they were talking about George Floyd. When it sounded like they were talking about Breonna Taylor. And all the problems that we as black people still face today. Real talk. There's no need to write any new speeches. All we gotta do is go back. Take an MLK speech. Take a Malcolm X speech. Take a Fred Hampton speech. Clean up the language a little bit. They like to use a little bit outdated terms, what we would consider. We run up the language a little bit, guess what? We have the exact same fucking speeches I've been giving the last 3 months at the protest.
We got security in here for
And
the
my main reason for
original
bringing
Black
this up
Panther Party right here.
was a disturbing thing I realized when I was watching a lot of Malcolm X. Was he was talking about a lot of people was telling him he needed to slow down. And how what he wanted could happen now, right? They kept telling Malcolm X, you're moving too fast. Here we go, fast forward 60 years. What the fuck has changed? They say we need slow change. What the fuck has changed?
Nothing. Not shit.
This is bullshit. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I'm sick and tired of giving these same goddamn speeches. We need to realize that we have the power. Because this shit wouldn't be happening if we had community control the police. This shit wouldn't be happening if we showed the politicians who got the power. Who got the power? Who got the power? Ain't no power like the power of the people, because the power of the people don't stop. Say what? Ain't no power like the power of the people, because the power of the people don't stop. Say what? Ain't no power like the power of the people, because the power of the people don't stop. Say what? Ain't no power like the power of the people, because the power of the people don't stop. Say what? Ain't no power like the power of the people, because the power of the people don't stop. All right now.
Thank you, DJ. Speaking truth to power. Next, we're going to call up Jaylani Hussein from Care, Minnesota. He's been holding it down. Jaylani started out all of this years ago wearing a suit and tie everywhere. But through his frustration, through his anger, he had to loosen up and start dropping it like it was hot on these microphones. Because he is mad, he is sick and tired of being sick and tired. He's been 10 toes down in this movement. Let's give it up for Jaylani Hussein.
Thank you, Nakima. Alaikum salam. First of all, I would like to start by greeting you all with a greeting of peace. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May peace and blessings be upon you all today. Are you here today? Yes. Are you here? Yes. I want to take this moment to ask God to bring speedy recovery for Jacob. We ask God in this moment to bring peace to his family and his children and to that community. I want to always tell the truth, no matter how hard it is, no matter how painful it is, we gotta tell the truth. George Floyd was killed here in Minnesota, here in Minneapolis. Not much has changed. We have filled the streets, buildings have been burnt, but to this now, until now, the city council hasn't done really much. And the state of Minnesota has only offered us watered down bills that actually the city of Minneapolis has already been adopting that has not done anything. I want you to know that we cannot just show up when we see the brutality. We have to recognize and carry that brutality and let it be the driving force that makes us to show up every single time. Because I see a lot of people here today I have not seen in a lot of the protests and marches that we've been having almost every single day in this state. So I'm asking all of you in this moment right now, for Jacob, for George, and for the many families that are in pain because their case was not filmed, their story was not covered, but yet injustice was done to them. Great injustice was done to them. So I'm asking every single one of you in Minnesota, we have an opportunity to stand up for justice. And we have to do it together. And we have to do it like it really matters. And I think that is the difference. And I'm speaking to a lot of young people, because there's a lot of young people who really don't care. And they really care about making a difference, but they don't care about all the baggage that many of the other people carry. All the excuses that so many people have. A lot of young people don't have those excuses and don't care, but they care about each other. They care about the community and they care about the future. So I'm asking those young people today, it's time for you to lead us. It's time for you to lead us because there's so much pain in this country. So much pain. And what Jacob's story tells us is that it is going to keep happening. Sadly to say, but this stuff is going to keep happening until we have transformative change in this country. The police departments in this country are not broken. It's a system built on going after poor people in this country and black people in this country. They were doing what they had been trained to do, what they had been paid to do, and what the taxpayers of every city want them to do, which is to police poor neighborhoods, what is to go after black and brown bodies. That is the reality that we live in today. So when we talk about what we need to do in this country, we're talking about transforming and completely changing what it is about public safety. Why is it so that gated communities and suburban communities have absolutely wonderful safety? And why is it that poor communities continue to suffer from all types of violence? And that is because the resources have been taken out of these communities. It's also because of the policies that continue to feed corporate America. You know, there's a lot of people in this country who don't believe what is happening right now. But the reason why they don't believe it is because they're hearing messages and information from places like Alpha News, from places like some of these horrible blogs that consider themselves news, but they're not. And they're being told, just like in the 1930s when the KKK returned, that their enemies is their neighbors. Their enemies is their friends. Their enemies is their co-workers. There are forces in this country that are trying to turn us apart, trying to turn on each other. So I speak to all of you in this space right now. We got to get angry. We got to get angry like it means something. And we got to fill the streets every single day, not just today. We got to continue to fill the streets because we're trying to protect the lives of black lives in this country. And we're trying to stop. We're trying to stop another black person being killed, being shot in the back, just like the one we saw with Jacob while his children were watching. That is what we're trying to stop. That is what we're trying to stop. So if you have not joined this movement, you're part of the problem. Because we're trying to save lives. We're trying to put the light on injustice system that continues to kill black people in this country. That sees them as not human beings. And we're not just talking about police conduct. It's the policies that give police the blanket check to kill people, what is put by politicians. But it's also the mass incarceration. The many you don't hear their names who are locked up in the state of Minnesota, who are locked up all over this country for bogus charges, for policies of law and order that have targeted poor people in this country. That's what we're talking about. So I speak to those people right now in jails. We see you, we hear you, we believe you, and we're coming to get you out. This moment is not going to go down in history as a light moment. It's going to go down as a very powerful moment because the people have filled the streets. And you have to recognize that the people always have the power. If you choose to stay home, you have chosen to take your power and not use it for good. And I believe if you think you're going to get away with it, I believe mighty God is going to judge you for staying home. Because the reality is, God asked you to do something righteous. And this is a moment right now where faith leaders from across this country have to come out and lead us. Lead us on the streets and march. Because it's the people who believe that God will intervene are the people who are going to win. We're not afraid of anybody. We're not afraid of anybody. We're only afraid of ourselves and the lack of our inability to make a difference in this country. So I ask every single one of you in this movement right now to join the fight. And that means getting out. And if you have to go to Hugo, we're going to go to Hugo. And if you have to go to any city across the state, we're going to go to any city across the state. We're going to go to places that don't want us to come because the powers be want to hide behind their houses. The reality is, there is a revolution coming in America. And the worst thing you could do is sleep in a revolution because this country is moving forward together for justice. Together for justice. And I want to end by this. I want to end by saying this. It hurts to see another black person be shot in the way Jacob was shot. I kept looking at the gun. I kept looking at this police officer who looked like he was afraid. Who looked like he didn't know what he was doing, but he knew exactly what he was doing. He'd been trained to pull that gun out. And he saw Jacob as a threat. A man who was walking away. A man who was going inside his car with his children inside. What excuse are they going to come up with now? What excuse are they going to come up with now? And that has always been the case. This system protects itself. The same prosecutor who works with that same police officer is the one who is now assigned or responsible for bringing justice for Jacob's family. This is how corrupt and colluded this system is. This is why we need to look beyond just the conduct of just the police officers, but recognize the policies that have been hidden, have been printed, and have been done in for by the both parties that we believe belong in this country. Both of these parties are guilty. Both of these parties have played a role in the justice system that we see today. But I'm going to tell you something. If you ever thought your vote matters, now it does. If you thought your vote mattered, it does now. But it can't be a blanket check for a party. It's got to come with actual demands. It can't be a blanket check for a color or a feeling or whatever you feel like, whatever your parents did. It's got to mean something. It's got to mean something. And this year's election better be the election that changes this country toward justice. Otherwise, we are all guilty. And in fact, we are all guilty, and that's why we got to this point we're in today. So I'm going to say the last piece, which is this. Give up. Do not give up. Do not give up, because we stand on the shoulders of people like John Lewis, who never gave up, even on his last days. Stayed in Congress, did every single thing possible to make sure something happens in this country. Who asked us to get into some trouble. Some good trouble. And this is the moment right now in Minnesota. We got to get into some good trouble right now. We got to get into some good trouble right now. And to our brothers and sisters in Wisconsin today who are feeling the pain, we say to them, we see you, we hear you, we believe you, and we stand with you.
Let's give it up for Jaylani once again. That was powerful.
We are at the Minneapolis
So we're about
Government
to
Center,
start
downtown
marching.
Minneapolis.
So I'm going to ask 3 or 4 volunteers to come up here so you can help Peter Pepper so he can start taking this system down. We have a sound truck over there that is waiting for us. I'm going to ask Toussaint, because he's going to start leading some chants, to come and get these bullhorns so that we can get started and get ready to march. They're underneath my daughter's stroller. She's a part of the movement as well. Little Asada, 3 years old, out here with us. So as Toussaint is getting ready to lead us in chants, we're going to get ready to turn that way. But one thing I want to say as we are about to move forward, one, we need to follow the instructions of the marshals. They are wearing lime green vests. Pay attention to their instructions. They're going to help keep us safe. I also believe that there are some of the bikers here who stand in solidarity with Black Lives. They're going to help lead us and keep us safe as well. When we get to our destination, we are going to hear from some speakers. We're going to hold some space at that destination. So it's important, again, for us to listen to instructions and stand in solidarity. And if you guys are out here today, I just want to encourage you and to remind you to not be ashamed for standing up for justice. It doesn't matter what protest you go to. You don't have to agree with every word from every speaker in order to stand up for justice. So don't let white supremacists, fake well-meaning white people fool you into being ashamed for standing up for Black lives. Because 9 times out of 10, their asses are sitting at home being keyboard warriors and not doing a damn thing to fight. So I refuse to back down. I refuse to give in. I refuse to give up. I refuse to let them punch me into a corner. I'm going to be like Harriet Tubman and keep standing and keep outwitting them. And speak my truth no matter what. 10 toes down. So if you're a part of this movement, be a part of this life. Or be part of the problem. Now we will continue to be peaceful, just as we have been, because our peacefulness is not proportionate to the violence that we have experienced. And here's the other reality. If we look at the people throughout history who have stood up to fight, whether they have been Dr. King or Malcolm X, they have still been assassinated for speaking truth on behalf of Black lives. So this country doesn't give a damn what kind of rhetoric you bring forward. If you are speaking the truth, you are seen as a threat. So you have to understand the movement that you are part of and be committed to this struggle for freedom, justice, and equality, no matter what. So Toussaint, where are you at? All right, so I don't see him right now. What I am going to do is begin to lead us in chants. So I want us to line up over there by the sound truck, and then the marshals are going to lead us. So you can chant as you walk. What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Justice! When do we want it?
How you doing?
What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now!
See you all the time online.
My name is Nico. What's your name?
Abdi, bro. I'll give you one of these. Wednesday, we're at the school. We're trying to get the individual like
Oh, yes. Okay, nice.
so if you can come by.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to give a speech later on today.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
Well,
you.
how long is it going to last?
1 hour.
All right.
12 to
Perfect.
noon.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate you giving this to me.
Yeah, we're saying anything when you come.
Sure. Yep. Oh, yeah, you want to talk about it too? So the and they're having
So we are live here at the Government Center. You guys heard from several speakers who are standing in solidarity with the family in Kenosha who is grieving the loss of Jacob Blake. And so we do have a community member here who is speaking up about the defacement of the George Floyd mural this week. Can you talk a little bit about what happened?
Yes, hi. So I am a healthcare professional first, and I'm also a future physician who's currently in the process of heading to med school. So what I'm out here is, what we're actually trying to do is take the white coat of the individual who's a fourth-year med student who defaced the memorial of George Floyd away from him. Because if you can imagine what this individual did to a memorial in the middle of the night, imagine what that individual will do to a black individual in a vulnerable state in a healthcare setting.
And so can you tell me when that action is?
So we are going to be at the University of Minnesota Med School Wednesday at 12 o'clock. So that's the 26th of August. If you could please come and stand in solidarity with us. We're going to be sitting in. We're going to be asking the school to please expel this individual. We do not want him to graduate.
And can you just kind of reiterate one more time? You said that this individual works in the medical care field, and if they're willing to come out and deface a mural, what consequence or what kind of danger is the public in with this individual working in the medical field?
So his name is Daniel Michelson, and he's actually not working. He's a fourth-year med student. He's been through rigorous training to prepare himself for a physician. He was supposed to graduate spring 2021. As of July of next year, he would be face-to-face with vulnerable black patients, minorities. And this individual with that type of hatred in his heart, we do not want him in our communities practicing as a physician. Whatever else you want to do in the world is up to him. However, we do not want him in our community as a physician, and that's what we're protesting on Wednesday at high noon at the University of Minnesota Med School.
Thank you so much. Anything else you'd like to add?
Just if you could please come out Wednesday at 12 o'clock at the school to sit in with us for an hour, that would be great. If not, thank you for what you guys do at Riot. What's it called? Unicorn Riot. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've seen the photos kind of pop up online with the eyes of George Floyd on the iconic mural that's on the side of the building on 38th in Chicago. The mural's been defaced. The individual who was responsible for it has been identified. And so, if you're able to come out on Wednesday and stand in solidarity, that's what that action is about. And right now, we are in Minneapolis. There is a protest happening here. As you can see, hundreds of people are walking down I believe this is Fifth Street, and trying to see what the cross street is, walking down the center of downtown Minneapolis. This is 3rd Avenue. So walking down 3rd Avenue in downtown Minneapolis, hundreds of individuals who are demanding justice for the police killing of Jacob Blake. All right, well, I'm here with Derek. Derek, can you tell me what made you decide to come out today?
Well, I actually born and raised in St. Paul, Minnesota, and I was living in LA for the last 3 years. And when George Floyd got killed, I felt helpless being in LA. So I came back to my city. I got a personal leave from work, and I've been active ever since. And they let me stay, so I've been trying to help the community in any way I can, and just be a representative for the people that look like me, so.
Absolutely. What do you think are some solutions for our country as we're seeing, several African Americans unarmed being killed by police?
It's tough. There's a big buddy system within the police system that, I think that there's a lot of whistleblowing that's trying to happen. I think there's a lot of things that could happen within the police community that could help us, but I don't think that that's the solution. I don't think that they're willing to go that far. So we'll need to keep doing what we're doing here and try to remain peaceful if we can. But I honestly think that it's going to take a full dismantle of the police, a full breakdown, and then rebuild and have our voices involved, because we are the people that are being affected, and clearly we're not being heard.
So we're still waiting for justice in the case of Breonna Taylor. There was another incident in Louisiana, and now this incident that happened in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Do you think that this is going to reignite a similar unrest that we saw after the killing of George Floyd?
So I had this conversation with my dad this morning, and you know, these things are blatant, and I think that honestly, I think from the bottom of my heart that they want us to try to go to war, and I think that they want to get us out of our peacefulness and give us a reason for them to kill us. And I truly believe that. I mean, why else would they blatantly keep shooting people that are unarmed, black people that are unarmed? We got babies in cars, you know, Philando Castile. I mean, a brother of mine, you know what I'm saying, that's family. And it's just like, it's just blatant, and I think that they're just trying to agitate us, but we have to remain vigilant but smart. But we have to make sure that we remember that we have a lot of power that doesn't require firearms and tearing down buildings, but those things may be necessary.
Anything else you'd like to add today?
I would say that if you're sitting at home right now and you're not out here trying to help us, you're part of the problem. Like a lot of these speakers are saying, we need people out here to be heard, and if you're turning a blind eye to it, you're a part of the problem. So help us.
Thank you so much for your time today. Again, we are in downtown Minneapolis right now. Hundreds of individuals have come together to protest the killing of Jacob Blake in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Just to give a little context, Kenosha is located in between Chicago and Milwaukee. It's a town about 100,000 people live there. And, you know, this is coming just weeks, maybe I'd say about 2 months after the killing of George Floyd. And so we're starting to hear of dozens of protests popping up in other states, individuals standing in solidarity against police violence, police brutality, police terror, and really just calling for accountability, that when police officers kill someone, that they're held accountable for their murder just like anybody else would. So hundreds of people are marching. We are now at South 3rd Street. This protest has moved about 3 blocks. We're right at the corner of 3rd Street and 3rd Avenue. Hundreds standing in solidarity in Minneapolis for Jacob Blake.
I love you guys.
Thank you. We love you
Thank you for
too.
being out.
So I'm here, downtown Minneapolis. If you're just tuning in, hundreds of individuals are protesting the shooting of Jacob Blake in Kenosha, Wisconsin. I'm here with Christoph. Can you tell me what brings you out today?
I heard about what happened through a post from Communities United Against Police Brutality. I volunteer with that group. They have a public call that you can call into any Saturday. So I've been keeping track of some of the things that are on the calendar on their webpage. I mean, I just saw what happened to Jacob Blake. I saw that there was going to be this going on today, and I think of what some of the speakers said. When you see that, you have an opportunity to stay home, or you have an opportunity to try and do something, or try and be part of a movement against it. And I came out.
Yeah, I think most people would consider that being an ally. Is that what do you consider yourself an ally?
Absolutely, yeah, I'm an ally. I mean, I'm a cis-het white man, so I benefit from all the privilege. I benefit from all the things that these white cops are doing to people of color and Native people. And yeah, I consider myself an ally, and I want to divest myself of that whiteness and fight against it as much as I can.
Why do you think that it's important for other white individuals to take a stand in this moment in 2020 and consider themselves allies as well?
Oh man, it's never been more important. I mean, it feels so important with Trumpism on the rise and fascism on the rise, and you hear, like the speakers today have been saying, there's so many so-called news networks that are just trying to make people turn against people and trying to spin this story as if, you know, it's okay for cops to kill people. And it's just simple. It's just simple to say, no, we have laws, let's obey those laws. We have policies and procedures. The cops have to follow them. They can't say, we're going to follow them here, but we're not going to follow them when it's people of color.
Christoph, anything else you'd like to add today?
Yeah, I mean, keep coming out to protests. Keep watching Unicorn Riot. I watch y'all's videos all the times, and find something that you can do consistently. I really like having CUAPB to volunteer with, but find some kind of group that you consistently can go to, because, yeah, it's not a moment, it's a movement.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time today. Again, if you're just tuning in, we are downtown Minneapolis, hundreds of individuals out standing in solidarity with Jacob Blake.
Justice, no peace. Prosecute the police. 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 Would you be interested in prosecute the police?
Brandon. So I'm here with Brandon. Brandon, you're out here downtown Minneapolis standing in solidarity with folks who are demanding justice for Jacob Blake. Can you tell me about your decision to be out here today with your daughters?
Well, any opportunity to voice ourselves, they need to learn that you need to be out here. Number two, Brooklyn was here when when she was 4 years old, when Trayvon Martin was murdered, walking these exact same streets down here downtown. Exact same streets, exact same chants, different names. So something's got to give, something's got to change, so she's not out here next year or 4 years from now and 8 years from now, or this one, Naima, when she's 10 years old, 12 years old, we're not standing for her. So they know that these are their streets, they know that their voices matter, so I brought them out to make sure that they understand that.
And can you tell me, Brandon, as a black man living in America, what are some of your thoughts and your concerns as you just go about your day-to-day life?
Basic concerns. Basic concerns for peace, justice, harmony, welfare, economic safety, which means that we need to defund the police now in this community and across the country and start over. The reason that they police the streets is so that they can label and abuse us and live out the criminal legacy that Ronald Reagan and Richard Nixon started. We're not for it. So basic pursuits of life, liberty and happiness, which we don't have.
Now, you talk about defunding the police. There are some people who are terrified to defund the police. What do you say to them, and what are some community alternatives that you think could be better replacements?
Well, everybody needs to learn how to defend themselves and their families, and that's where it needs to start, as far as I'm concerned. The more you have, the more control you have over your body and how to use your body as a mode of self-defense, the less fear you have. And that's why a lot of these police are freaking out. And aside from their racist tendencies and attitudes, is that they don't have a basic self-defense mechanism, jiu-jitsu, karate, something that they can use and utilize and fall back on. So our communities need to have a basic understanding of self-defense. We need to arm ourselves, and then we need to arm our neighbors, and we need to teach them the same. And that's the most basic, fundamental way that I believe that we can make sure that we are the answers to this question.
Brandon, are you comfortable with your oldest daughter maybe saying a word or two?
Definitely. Brooklyn.
Young lady, would you like to say what brings you out here today and why this is important for you to be involved with?
It is very important for me to be involved in because I don't want to grow up, be my dad's age, and still have to do this. Yeah.
And what do you think is the solution that your generation can bring forward?
We can protest and use our voices. Even though they're small, they still matter. We could gather, I don't know, we could make posters like around our school maybe. We could make, like, I'm artistic, I like to draw, and I draw Black Lives Matter, and I could draw George Floyd and stuff like that. That's something that we could do.
Anything else you'd like to say?
No, thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Again, if you're tuning in, we are downtown Minneapolis. If you take a look up here, we are just now coming up to Hennepin Avenue. Hundreds of individuals marching for justice for Jacob Blake, who was shot in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Again, if you're just tuning in, thank you so much. We are broadcasting live from downtown Minneapolis, where hundreds are marching for justice for Jacob Blake, who was shot in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Kenosha, for context, is right in between Chicago and Milwaukee. It's a town about 100,000 in population. We are hearing that Jacob Blake is in serious critical condition. And I also am hearing that this march may be going to the precinct here downtown Minneapolis, where we will hear from more community leaders and other individuals who have relatives that were shot and killed here in Minnesota by police officers. A lot of folks, in Minneapolis are still grieving the death of George Floyd, who was killed by Minneapolis police officers. A lot of folks here are, frustrated that there still hasn't been justice for Breonna Taylor. And to just continue to see police in America harming and murdering citizens, oftentimes unarmed, Black and brown individuals. We're hearing here from people today that they're just tired of it and that they want to see a change when it comes to policing in America. They want to see officers held accountable for their actions. And so hundreds are out here today. We're hearing that similar marches, protests, and rallies are being held in dozens of cities across America. We have yet to find out whether or not this movement will kind of be, reignited from what we saw happening after George Floyd was killed. So right now, we know that there was unrest in Kenosha, Wisconsin, and Madison last night. Clearly, we're seeing individuals here gather and protest dozens of other cities. And so only time will tell whether or not this movement will pick up that same momentum that we saw after George Floyd was killed. As you can see, hundreds of people here today standing in solidarity.
I'm too short for that shit.
What's your name? Diavana? So I'm here with Diavana. Diavana, can you tell me what brings you out today?
I just want justice for everybody and for my future kids and for the men and women in my life.
And when you say justice, what does justice look like to you?
Them being able to go outside without getting shot and not being afraid to do what they want.
Do you think that it's important that police are held to a higher standard than just your regular citizens?
No, I don't think so. I think they should get the same punishment as we do. So, because if we shoot somebody, we would go to jail, so they should get the same thing.
Absolutely. And what are your thoughts about this movement, being here in Minneapolis and seeing, the civil unrest for nearly 2 weeks after the killing of George Floyd? Do you think that the shooting of Jacob Blake is going to reignite that momentum?
It might. I think it should, because that shouldn't have happened. It shouldn't. We shouldn't be living like this.
What do you say to other folks who are at home, who are not really involved in the movement? What do you say to them about why it's important to use their voice and stand up for humanity?
The more people we have, the bigger impact it will be, I think. And we should all get out because we all want this.
Anything else that you'd like to add?
No.
Thank you so much for your time today. So we are turning the corner here on 4th Street, right in front of the police precinct that's headquartered in downtown Minneapolis. Sounds like we're going to hear from some more speakers, community leaders, other individuals who have lost a loved one to police.
If you remember when homeless folks, unhoused folks rolled up on Mayor Jacob Fry's house, he didn't come out. This is the running narrative of your city. They don't want to talk. They want to keep the status quo. They want to keep it, as Nikema says, business as usual. They want to keep it all the same. But you're here today to say that you want different and that you demand different. You're here to say that the way things have been running are not working anymore. You're not going to wait to show up in a city council president Zoom meeting. You're not going to wait until the cops come out, put their badges down and their guns down like Flint, Michigan, and march with you. You're not going to wait for Mayor Fry to take back all the racist rhetoric and white signaling that he did. You are not going to wait. And you're showing up right now because enough is enough. Say enough is enough. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. And now we stand here again because another brother, a black man. And when you want to talk about who's being targeted in our Minneapolis public schools by cops, when you want to talk about the private security hired in our Minneapolis public schools who are targeted first, these are young black men. And I can say that with experience because I went to these schools. I was pulled over on my bike. I was pulled over jogging. I've been pulled over walking. I've been pulled over only person to have something to do with trouble. So I know from experience, as a black man in this city, what it is like to be targeted every day. And when we take the amazing leadership of people that have been out here before George Floyd, before Jamar Clark, since Terrence Franklin, before Terrence Franklin, and they give you a platform to speak in a very dangerous place like Hugo, Minnesota. And then the white folks in Hugo want to act like they're scared for their lives. And then the Star Tribune that's here wants to put my face on the cover of their story and say that my name is John Thompson. You got me right the fuck up. We don't look alike. John Thompson gave a great speech. They tried to portray him as some angry, over-the-top animal when he is a human being expressing his justified and rightful outrage to the racist system. And if you folks find that scary, then I tell you, watch the video of Jacob Blake. If you find that scary, then watch the video of George Floyd. If you find that scary, close your eyes and imagine Terrence Franklin. You find that scary, close your eyes and imagine Sandra Bland. Your folks need a video to show up. You don't need a damn thing to show up. Star Tribune asked me today, you think black folks are going to show up in Wisconsin? I said that's not a question. The question is white folks going to show up and not center themselves like Portland? We don't need white people taking up the space. We need white folks to start listening, to start showing up, and to become a shield and not a sword. The second you start taking shit over, bringing stuff, they don't need it for all black asses. Not yours. Again, I say this from experience in Minneapolis. Biking, jogging, walking, minding my own black ass business, I've been pulled over for it all. White folks, you may have not. That being said, it's time for you to hold the space and listen to black people. It's time for you to stand up and keep showing up for black people. We don't need another Instagram black square. We don't need another hashtag. We need you to hold your constituents accountable. We need you to be shutting shit down every day. And we need you, especially, to start standing between police and white folks.
Say that shit! Say that shit!
I'll wrap up on this narrative real quick. What they did to Jacob was to set an example for the rest of the black community, to keep them all in check. And they might have known that they were filming it too. So when they brutalize a black body, maybe they find that advantageous. Oh, this is going to be filmed. Now they'll all see it, and they'll all know what happens when they step out of line. So we can keep them all in check. And we saw what happened to Jacob.
You see in the background.
And we're not doing what they think we're going to do.
The team is sort of coming at the
We're
youth.
not going to act in check.
The youth
We're not going
doing,
to stand back.
putting up a picture. And
Show the fuck up!
there's some spray paint that got spray painted onto the windows. Something like that. That's what you see in the background off to the left.
Whether you're not in the faith-based community, you need to understand this mechanism. They say in faith-based communities, particularly in Christian communities, new level, new devil.
Listen!
As you ramp up your work, they're going to keep testing you more and more. As you ramp up your voice, they're going to keep testing you more and more. As you start putting your right body out there, your family's going to keep testing you more and more. And it is time for you to level up and keep leveling up and keep showing up. Say his name! Say his name! Jacob Blake! Say his name! Jacob Blake! Say his name! Jacob Blake!
speaker who has been out here on the front lines since the police killed her older brother, Isaac Aiden. She is a powerhouse, a fireball. She speaks truth.
As you can see here, this is the exit where officers normally would come and go from this precinct, but about a dozen individuals who are out protesting have come and stood in the way, occupying this space for them to enter and exit the precinct.
My name is Samaya Aiden. I'm the younger sister of Isaac Aiden, who was murdered by Egan and Bloomington officers last summer in Egan, Minnesota. I want to first apologize in advance. I'm like losing my voice, but thank you. But I don't know what to say, just because this whole situation is very triggering. Every time someone is hurt, every time someone is murdered by the police, it brings you back to that day when it happened to your own. For the past year, I've ignored and avoided feeling everything, going through the grieving process and just everything, because a lot of the times and a lot of the families who had someone murdered by police will tell you we're not afforded the luxury of worrying about when the funeral date is going to be, when we have time to cry, when we have time to grieve, when we have time to be with family. Because as soon as you find out they're murdered, we have to be out here fighting for the release of evidence, fighting for the accountability of officers. Because I promise you, had my brother been murdered by someone on the street, someone who looked like me, someone who looked like him, he would have been at his.
As you can see, there is a helicopter and a drone flying above the protest. There's actually two helicopters flying above the protest today.
That warrants a death penalty.
Hard to make out from here whether or not they are media or government-owned helicopters, but there are two helicopters flying overhead.
In the state of Minnesota, since the year
Right now speaking is Samaya Aiden. Her brother was killed by the Egan Police Department.
Murders by police. And the one time an officer was successfully prosecuted and convicted was when he was a black Muslim man who murdered a rich white woman who was the neighbor of the district attorney.
She's referring to the Justine DeMond case that happened in Minneapolis.
And like Dr. Armstrong always says, it's so much easier to say, oh, Ahmaud Arbery was murdered in Georgia, like the racist South. Same with Breonna Taylor. Same with Botham John. But we're living in the Jim Crow North. When these red states have prosecuted and convicted more officers than this progressive after our brother was murdered to watch Just Mercy. Every white person in that theater was bawling their eyes out. And like I said, it's so easy to just say, oh, this happened back in the 80s in Alabama. It's about the wrongful execution of like black men on death row. But we're having executions happen in our own backyard. Every day. Nothing. You get to watch our execution on TV, on your social media, and you get to turn a blind eye. Say that. Why does it take this? Where were these numbers Saturday for Justin Tigan? Why do you have these same numbers on Wednesday for Lionel Lewis? Where are you guys? Where are you? You can't just call yourself an ally and call it a day. You can't just call yourself an ally. You can't be a self-proclaimed ally. You can't. Who are you an ally to? Where were you guys when our brother was murdered? It's been a year. If it wasn't enough, I don't even live here. I live in Los Angeles. I have to drop out of school, quit my job, pay rent for the past year at an apartment I'm not even living in. To be out here, not to grieve, but to fight for my brother every single day. Every single day. By myself, organizing protests, leading chants for my own brother's name, when I haven't even gotten to acknowledge the fact that I will never get to see him again.
We love you, Samaya! We got your back!
I continue to show up for every single family prior to after my brother. Continue to lead chants for them because I know how I felt not having somebody lead chants for my brother, to not have anybody organize a protest for my brother, to not have anybody give a damn. I want to do everything by myself for the past year. Where were you guys? Where were you for all 429 people who've been murdered in your state since the year 2000? And I'm not going to thank you for being out here for doing the bare minimum.
Yes, Samaya!
But I am going to call you out each and every time I get the opportunity to go on the microphone until I start seeing these same numbers come out each and every time my cousin's murdered in the street. Because I've said it before and I'll say it again. Hashtag BLM doesn't mean shit to the families who lost loved ones to police violence. If you're not actually putting your body on the line for these black lives that you claim matter. So I'll end with telling you to come out Wednesday for Lionel Lewis, a black man who was murdered up north in Kenosha, Minnesota. Back in 2009, he was hogtied and thrown in the back of a squad car with a bag over his head in 90-degree weather for an hour and a half. For an hour and a half. This was in 2002, before there were body cams, before there was dash cams, before there was any accountability. Even to this day, there's still no accountability. Right. So we need you to come out, show support for his family. His daughter just became legal of age, but the statute of limitation does not allow for them to hold the officers responsible, accountable. So we are going to be there to show support for that family. And also, in addition, how many of you have heard of the defacing of the George Floyd mural? This will be organized by physicians, nurses, midwives, advanced practice providers, allied health professionals. He's going to school to become a physician. We are going to hold him accountable and make sure that he does not get to graduate, that he does not. In the streets or in healthcare or at hospitals or whatever, and he'll tell you more about it. So continue to come out. Thank you.
Remarkable. So once again, thank you, Samaya. One more time for Samaya, please. Undergraduate nursing, so for the past 3-4 years I was a nurse, and I've witnessed the implicit bias of white physicians, nurses, at the hands of the implications that they have on black lives. So this, what was it, 18 or 19, a few days ago, we saw with a 4th-year medical student at the University of Minnesota, medical student did, with the defacing of the George Floyd murder. Was it? Does anyone know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Cool. So what we're doing is Wednesday at 12 o'clock at the school, we're holding a quiet sit-in at the school to have the demands that we want met by medical school. So what we're asking for is the top individual not graduate. So if everyone here, even for an hour, if you can come out for 1 hour, please, to sit in with us, show solidarity, so as soon as the individual graduates, you come into our community and provide care for black individuals. So there's a reason that black individuals don't just health care professions. And if you can think back to the simple study, to the Henrietta stem cell studies, that should be considered research. That was sold for a black lady. So this isn't something new. So black people are also being, their lives are being lost in healthcare roles or peace. This Wednesday, 12 o'clock, at the University of Minnesota Medical School, please come and have a great sitting with us and demand justice for George Floyd, and have Daniel Mickelson, who's a 4th-year medical student, be held accountable. We want him expelled. We cannot let him go. So, if this individual in the middle of the night can come out and deface George Floyd Memorial, knowing what it stands for, just imagine what he would do to a black patient who's vulnerable. We have clear evidence. We have a 4th-year student who's on video defacing or who have female beliefs for my state color, for the color of black minorities. We cannot let this individual into our community and practice health care. Please, I'm begging you all to come out Wednesday and demand this individual be expelled. It's not just police, it's health care, it's politicians. We are at risk as black individuals. So, please, once again, 12 o'clock Wednesday at the University of Minnesota Medical School, Moose Tower. You can look us up. It's White Coats for Black Lives. You're on Facebook. Once again, White Coats for Black Lives. Wednesday at 12 o'clock. Thank you, everyone.
All right, next up, we have Nash. He's a young who's been holding it down at 38 in Chicago. He's been traveling around the Twin Cities at protests, and he's started his own movement, Police the Police. Let's give it up for him.
They thought it was Luke Cage. They thought it was 50 Cent. 7 times, put him on the car, they didn't apprehend him, his son's in the seat. Every time this happens, they just prove themselves. They just prove themselves. There is nothing you can do that warrants the cops to kill you. However, on the same hand, that's on the left hand, on the right hand, you can do nothing and get killed by the police. Because they didn't know yet. That being said, 2 weeks after George Floyd, there was a white dude in Minneapolis, I don't know about it. What's his name? Cody. He shot a white dude, ran back to his garage, had a rifle, the cops, who ran up outside his face and he ran away. He got away. He got away! Proving you can do anything and they won't kill you. But at the same time, you can do absolutely nothing and shot in the back 7 times in front of your children! He didn't know. So once again, keep this running, positive energy, keep it alive. I want to mention one of the things possibly. Since just 2019, in 2019, 1,004 people were killed by the police. 1,004! Y'all can do the math. Bring your calculators up. That's almost 3 a day. How many did you hear about last year? How many did you hear about last year? 4? 5? If you super into it, maybe 15? If you're an attorney, maybe 100? Right. We don't need accountability. We need redemption. You always talk about holding accountable. But if I were at Walmart and I killed your loved one, I go to prison and you kill me. So why do you have one of the other blue uniform? If you kill me for your loved one, you won't go to prison and nobody comes to get you. What I'm saying is dangerous. This is dangerous what I'm saying. Think about what I'm saying? It's dangerous. Having redemption for a cop has accountability. Because if you kill my mom, or you rape my mom, which is legal for a cop to do in 31 states, including America, I'm going to kill you or you're going to live. No one is a cop.
Exactly.
We need redemption, not accountability. That's it. Say his name! Say his name like you were his son in the back of the car. Say his name! When we say his name, that's how y'all supposed to sound. Not Jacob. No, we're gonna do it again. So they fucking hear me. Because they're in there. What's his name? Jacob! When it's the other protest on Wednesday, you know. When it's the other protest on Saturday, you know.
Check.
I saw the video what happened with Jacob Blake, so that's some fucked up shit what happened. You know, when I saw the video, man, it pissed me the fuck off. The only thing that I can just think of, that the first thing that came to my mind when I was sitting there watching it, man, was I was fuck 12. Fuck 12! Fuck 12! Fuck 12! So before I get off the mic, I just want to give a shout out to some people, some native people that has been killed within the last week. Just yesterday, there was a native guy in North Dakota. His name is Jacob Ludiser. He was shot in the back. Brandon Ludiser, that's his name, sorry about that. His name is Brandon Ludiser. He was killed in North Dakota by the police. He was shot in the back 5 times. So we're here to stand in solidarity with him also. Thank you guys. So another name I want to bring up too, his name is Hebrew Otis. He was killed 2 weeks ago tomorrow, and he was killed in Rapid City, South Dakota. He was a native guy. He was having a mental health issue, and he poured gasoline on himself. And as they were trying to talk him down, the police shot him with a flashbang, which caught him on fire, in which he died. So we stand in solidarity with Hebrew Otis. Thank you guys. Another name I want to bring up, just the other, last week, there was an Indian girl. She wasn't killed by the police, but she drowned, saving 18 kids in the Minnesota dam. So her name is Raina Lynn Nealon, and like I said, she was 18 years old, and she drowned from saving 18 kids from drowning, and she was the only one that drowned. So I just want to give a shout out to her. Thank you guys. Native Lives Matter loves you guys. Thank you.
All right, let's give it up again for Gabe, Antonia, Native Lives Matter. So in a second, we're going to get ready to march again. And I want to give you a chance. Come on up and say a few words. Tell us about who you lost and why you're out here on the front lines.
Hello, everyone. My name is Andre Friedman. June 23rd, 2018, I lost a friend. His name was Thurman Blevins. Thurman Blevins was killed by the Minneapolis Police Department in a botched killing, a murder, as he was running away from them in fear of his life. I come out here to stand in solidarity with every family, every person that has been killed by the police department across this country. We can no longer stand by and watch us die out here on these streets by this gang. These are not police killings. These are gang killings. These are people murdered by the largest gang in the United States of America. The police department. How many more do we need to lose before we are no longer victims? How many more fathers gotta be killed? And let me say this, how many more children need to become orphans? How many more black women need to become widows? How many more before it becomes official that Black Lives Matter? Because the narrative stands that Black lives do not matter, and you do not need to be committing a crime to get yourself killed. Just being part of the solution, we have learned, can get you killed. Listen to us, police! Listen to us! Our lives matter! We are not predators! And fuck your narrative!
See, I knew Andre had something in him. Let's give it up for Andre Friedman one more time, y'all.
As you can see here, there are A couple of cops standing behind the precinct in riot gear. There have been about a dozen protesters who have aligned themselves right in front of the entrance exit of the building, and so as a response it appears as though officers are lining up in the back of the building with riot gear.
I remember when Thurman Blevins got killed.
You may be able to see the officer who is standing in the alley. He has what looks like some type of a wood club maybe in his hand.
To where Jacob was at, to where Breonna Taylor was at. We all gotta stick together.
There's also been some helicopters that have been circulating the protests in downtown Minneapolis. One of them has been identified as a media helicopter belonging to CBS. The other one we were not able to identify who it belonged to, but those helicopters continue to circulate overhead of the protests happening here in downtown Minneapolis.
Getting ran over by cars and semis, snatching semi-truck drivers out their truck ass seats. Who else doing that?
You can see here officers starting to stand guard behind the precinct, fully armed with riot gear, bulletproof vests, helmets. And this individual that you're seeing here, he looks like he has some type of a club, some type of a wood stick in his hand. You can see here protesters banging on the gate. Some people putting up their middle finger, protesting the accountability of police.
But we also know that the medical field right now with COVID-19, what is they doing with our bodies?
Speaking now is one of the organizers of Black Lives Matter here in Minnesota. If you're just tuning in, this is a march that has turned into a protest in front of the police precinct in downtown Minneapolis. Individuals standing in solidarity for accountability for the shooting of Jacob Blake.
When Black lives are under attack, what do we do? Stand up for that. When Black lives are under attack, what do we do? Stand up for that. What do we do? Stand up for that. What do we do? Stand up for that. When brown lives are under attack, what do we do? Stand up for that.
As you can see here, individuals have written "No justice, no peace" right on the gate of the entrance and exit of the Minneapolis Police Station. There's some graffiti also that has happened on the windows. As you can see here, individuals have used permanent marker and spray paint to write "No justice, no peace," F12. You can see here hundreds of individuals out here today standing in solidarity. As you can see, there was, when we arrived, there was a flag that was draping here on this pole. There was a flag here. I'm sorry, I was a little distracted. Somebody was aiming a little beam at the surveillance camera, and so I was trying to figure out what was going on there. But yeah, As you can see, the flag that was draping above the police station has been taken down. I believe that one of the individuals who was out here may have grabbed it, but that was not something that I witnessed myself. But we do know that when we arrived, there was a flag draping there, and that flag is no longer there.
Ain't nothing going on here. You can't even hold it. Take your ass inside. You already dropping it. Ain't nobody over there. You fucking clown. Your fucking clown uniform, you fucking bitch. Everybody in this city hates you, motherfucker. Everybody. Fuck 12. Fuck 12. Fuck 12.
As you can see, more officers making themselves seen, making themselves visible as a response to protesters yelling and expressing themselves here at the entrance and exit of the precinct in downtown Minneapolis.
Drop your stick again, dummy! Drop your fucking stick again, you fucking prick! You ain't even in danger and you dropping your shit! Pussy! Fuck 12! Get the fuck out, cowards!
Someone keep people tired. Keep up with the back cars, please.
You can see a few more officers have made themselves visible, many of them wearing riot gear.
Let's keep moving with the cars, please.
Fuck 12!
So folks are marching now, circling back around to where the march started. Hundreds are out this evening demanding justice, demanding that officers stop shooting black and brown individuals, and when they do, that they're held accountable for it. What we saw today, we saw speeches from several community leaders. We also heard from Delshia Perry, from Samaya Aiden, folks who have lost loved ones to police brutality and police terror. Delshia Perry, she spoke at the government center. In case you're just tuning in, her son was killed in Beltrami County Jail. She has now an active wrongful death lawsuit filed against several government entities. And here at the police precinct in downtown Minneapolis, Samaya Aiden was one of about a handful of speakers. And Samaya Aiden, her brother Isaac Aiden, was killed by Eagan police, and she's still seeking justice for her brother. So several folks who have been impacted by this issue speaking out, asking for justice, and as you can see here, hundreds of individuals coming out to stand in support and say that police should not be able to just shoot citizens without any accountability. This has all been reignited from the shooting in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Jacob Blake was shot by Kenosha police. Kenosha, for context, is located in between Chicago and Milwaukee. It's a small town. About 100,000 people live there, so pretty small town. So can you tell me what brings you out here today?
We're out here to demand justice for not only Jacob Blake, but all the people who were brutally murdered and or harmed by police departments in their cities. The Minneapolis Police Department right here, not only a couple weeks ago, were responsible for killing a man in broad daylight. So I'm here to stand for all of my relatives, my black, brown, and indigenous relatives, and to really show up and show that the youth, the young people are here to make a stand, and that we're not going to let these cops kill our people no more.
Anything else you'd like to add?
Justice for all these people, and for all you that aren't standing out here with us, you need to be out on the streets. You need to be caring. You need to be watching the social media. You need to be watching the people on the ground. Be sure to educate yourself.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So as you can see here, Nicollet and Forest Street is a pretty busy street here. And if you take a look up here in one of the patios, actually now I think the gentleman has stepped away. He was holding a sign supporting Trump. You know, it's just those types of expressions and public demonstrations that continue to kind of agitate peaceful protests here in Minnesota. This, where we are now, is right on Nicollet and 4th Street. This is really a line where a lot of public transportation comes, and so as you can see, it's the protest, the march has stopped traffic a little bit, and there are about a dozen cars at the back of the march just protecting anyone from, you know, driving in, or any cars that are out and about being able to just drive through the protest. So there are about a dozen cars in the back of this march just keeping everybody safe, honking their horns in solidarity, and really to just make some noise. Downtown Minneapolis is the center of where a lot of business happens in the state of Minnesota, but it's also where a lot of affluent residents live. Apartments that are occupied downtown Minneapolis are very, very expensive, and so to just be in this space at this time, disrupting the peace for many residents, is very, it's a very impactful way to build awareness about this issue that's impacting Black, brown, and indigenous people all across the country. You can see the sign that says abolish MPD with an angry emoji face that is saying explicitives and broken hearts. A visual representation to what many folks are experiencing and feeling, not only in Minneapolis where George Floyd was killed, but all across America. So as you can see, there are dozens of individuals who have brought their bikes out to the march. I was told that some of these bikers were a part of organized groups that wanted to stand in solidarity with Black Lives Matter and with the fight for accountability with police. Dozens of individuals out in the march with their bikes, standing in solidarity, demanding justice for Jacob Blake, for Breonna Taylor, for George Floyd, and for the many of individuals who have been killed by police here in the state of Minnesota. This march started at the government center in downtown Minneapolis at about 5 o'clock. Individuals marched about 3 or 4 blocks down to the Minneapolis Precinct. We heard from community members, we heard from other individuals who have lost loved ones to police here locally, and now hundreds of folks who have come out for today's demonstration are now marching back to the government center. What we have seen is a lot of graffiti, a lot of tagging being done. As you can see here, someone just did this. ACAB stands for, I believe, all cops are bastards. We also seen some similar graffiti happen at the precinct. F12, no justice, no peace was written on the entrance and exit of their building, where we also saw a handful of officers come out in riot gear. Some folks believe that's to instill fear among the peaceful protesters, to agitate peaceful protesters. But as you can see here, it did not stop the protest from being peaceful. Hundreds of individuals marching on, demanding justice for Jacob Blake. Oh, you're good.
No justice, no peace. Prosecute the police. No justice, no peace.
police. No justice, no peace. Prosecute the 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 police. Everybody stay back, stay back.
So
if you're not a marshal,
what
stay
we've
back, stay
seen
back.
here is that it looks like there's some agitators who have come out to this march, to this peaceful protest to agitate the situation. Maybe about 24 of the protesters have gone down to confront the agitators. In addition to that, a lot of the community marshals who are designated and trained to organize these protests and keep individuals safe have also gone down to confront the agitators. At this time, the group has not been identified, but we do know just by their very presence that these individuals do not appear peaceful.
We went 4,000 strong.
We had the first pre-march at 4 o'clock.
Hey, we got 4,000 guys with guns. We did in Louisville.
What we do know is that maybe 24 men and women have shown up to the protest that appear to be agitators, who appear to be confrontational. And in response to them showing up, a lot of the community marshals and organizers have come forward to ensure that no harm is done and that everyone here at this peaceful protest is kept safe. This was a march that started at about 5 o'clock at the government center. People marched down to the Minneapolis Precinct, where community leaders spoke out. And now individuals have traveled forward here back to the government center, where it appears that a lot of individuals are gathered around. It appears as though somebody is in a headlock. We're not really sure what exactly the confrontation is.
Yes, that person they had hit the girl, they tackled her, and then people went and protected her. Yeah, sorry. What we just heard from a community member was that basically they sort of apprehended this person who came and tackled a woman who was holding a flag. I think possibly they were trying to burn the flag and the person didn't like it, and he sort of just tackled her. People ran after him, and now they're dealing with that. So we're not going to focus too much on that. Thank you.
Yeah, it appears as though a lot of the community marshals responded really quickly to detain the individual who was being disruptful to the peaceful protest that was happening. And it appears as though that situation is under control. Although I will say people are responding very, very passionately, outraged at the fact that this peaceful protest, someone tried to at least disrupt this peaceful protest. We've been here since 5 o'clock since it started, and it's carried on without incident until now. But it does appear as though community marshals responded really, really quickly and have gotten this situation under control.
Don't move. That part.
We need to come out and protest. We need to do that because there's a lot of people that are hoping we go back. How many of you have been protesting? And when we were at that last precinct, there was a big barrier. They took down that barrier. You know why they took it down? Because they thought we were going home. They got it wrong. We are not going anywhere. Say his name. 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 This is a moment right now
where we can decide to make a difference. And I want everybody to realize this is not just about Minneapolis. It's never been about just Minneapolis. It's about every single jurisdiction in this country. It's about every city, every county, every state. We got to change the laws in the book. We've got to change the laws in the book. We've got to transform public safety in a meaningful way. And we're going to do this together. We're going to do this together. And we need every single one of you to show up. I'm going to ask you, I have two simple asks. Two simple asks. As you see today, our numbers are strong. I don't want this to be the last day we come out this strong. There's a protest tomorrow and Wednesday. There's going to be many more throughout this week and weekend. I want you to bring people out. I want you to bring people out. If you come, don't come alone again. If you come, don't come alone again. Call your friends just like you would call them for a night out. Call them out and say, guess what? This is our moment. This is our time. And we are talking. Enough is enough. This may be even in this.
Fuck 12! Fuck 12! Fuck 12! Fuck 12! Fuck
all these racist ass cops, we don't need them, I said, hold up, we want freedom.
Can you talk about the symbolism of this flag burning?
Because they burned our homes. They burned our children alive. You think this stupid ass flag means shit? It doesn't mean anything. I don't care. I will come to your house and I will burn it down if that's what it takes to see that my life matters, that all of our lives mattered, and they've been mattered. But you've continued to kill us and do wrongdoing against us, and it's illegal for you to rape our women? Fuck 12! Fuck America! Fuck this shit!
Can you talk about the incident that happened down at the corner?
Somebody tackled me for the flag.
Are you okay?
No, my side hurts a lot.
All over the country who look like you here today. So I'm telling you right now, if we're going to cross those bridges, we're going to do it together. And so all the white allies are telling you right now, have those hard conversations with your friends, your family, and the relatives that you have. But show up every single day. Continue to show up. And for all the politicians who thought their days was going to be hiding, it's no longer a blanket check vote. We are voting for justice. We are voting for our lives. We are voting with our voice and our heart. So right now, before I bring the Cuban to close us out, you have a chance. I have one last point. And I said this earlier, but I really mean it. I really believe deep down in my heart, we are going to win. We are going to change this country for better. We are going to win this for our children, our grandchildren. We're doing this for generations that are unborn. We are doing this for ourselves. So look back 50 years from now and say, we heard the cries of George Floyd, and we never stopped until we got justice. So therefore, we demand justice by any means necessary. And now I'd like to bring the voice of our generation, someone everyone knows here in the community. I'm sorry.
Let's give it up for Gianni, y'all. Now, honestly, I gotta speak to this. People are here for the spectacle and the drama. But you notice that in the midst of whatever the hell was going on back there, we stood 10 toes down, focused on why we came here. And that's for justice for Jacob Blake. And that's for justice for George Floyd. That's for justice for all stolen lives. So if you are here as part of this movement, the first thing you have to learn is to listen to black leadership. So when we're saying don't run your ass down there, you don't know what's going on, who, what, when, where, and how. Most of y'all can't do nothing about it. Stand and listen. You have people in position to keep us safe. You don't run after any little thing that's going on. Stay focused. Period.
that we do the Asada Shakur chant. That's how we close every protest. And when you leave here in peace. Don't leave by yourself. Leave with somebody else. We know the police are down there outside the first precinct, ready for some drama. They had on riot gear. They were ready, but we didn't give them what they wanted because we came in peace. Period. And that's how we gonna leave, in peace. So please repeat after me. It is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to win. It is our duty to win. We must love and support one another. We must love and support one another. We have nothing to lose but our change. We have nothing to lose but our change. It is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to win. It is our duty to win. We must love and support one another. We must love and support one another. We have nothing to lose but our change. We have nothing to lose but our change. Last time, like you mean it this time. It is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to win. It is our duty to win. We must love and support one another. We must love and support one another. We have nothing to lose but our change. 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 All power to the people. We get some music as we head to our cars. So we get some music. Now y'all see the spectacle going on, but I'm asking y'all to keep it moving. If people want to burn flags, that's on them. We staying focused on what we came here for. So let's get some music as everybody heads to your cars. Thank y'all for being here. Keep showing up, keep standing up, keep speaking up.
can't be doing this.
As you can see here, the march and protest has pretty much wrapped up. A few of the protesters lit a flag on fire, and what we've heard from community organizers is that was probably what incited the incident that we saw at the end of the street. However, the individuals who are trying to stop protesters from burning a flag were detained because some of the tactics that they were taking to try to stop the flag from being burnt were violent and aggressive towards women, and so some of the community marshals were able to detain the individual who was responding violently. That situation seems to have been quelled. However, what we're seeing right here now is the march ending and multiple people responding to the symbolism even of the American flag being set on fire. Some people are invigorated by it, others are outraged by it. We did see a few veterans that walked by, and I'm sure that this symbolism has a much different meaning for them than it does some of the younger generations. One thing to note, however, is that we have seen a wide range of individuals as far as age. So we've seen individuals come out with their children, infant children even, and we've seen elderly folks who are out here standing in solidarity today, demanding justice for Jacob Blake, who was shot in Kenosha, Wisconsin. The last update that we had on his health is that he was in critical condition, that he did survive the shooting, but that he is still fighting for his life. This march in downtown Minneapolis started at about 5 o'clock and is wrapping up. However, we're seeing a few people, probably about 100 people, who are still kind of hanging out around down here, demanding justice, expressing their outrage and concern. You can see there are some youth here who are dancing and covering the protests and march over the last few weeks. One thing that we've heard and that has been consistent is that some individuals decide to express their grief through dancing.
Fuck the police! Fuck the police! You a bitch and a half! Hey, fuck the police! Fuck the police! You a bitch and a half! Fuck the police! Hey, fuck the police!
So we're still standing here, even though the march is wrapped up. I'm here with Samaya Aiden. Samaya, can you update the public on your brother's case, what happened to him, and where you guys are in your journey for justice?
Yeah, so, you want me to, sorry.
Yeah, just share, about your brother, Isaac Aiden, kind of a little bit about what happened to him and where you all are in your journey for justice.
Yeah, so my brother is Isaac Aiden. He was a 23-year-old college student at the University of Minnesota. He was studying IT and infrastructure, planning on going into cybersecurity. He was also a banker at Spire Credit Union. He had plans to get into mortgage underwriting. He was also, in addition to all of that, he also started his own home care business in December of 2017. He was murdered on July 2nd, 2019 by 4 officers from Bloomington and 1 officer from Egan. The district attorney, as usual, found the officers justified in using lethal force. Currently, we have a pending lawsuit, so I can't really speak on the case, but my brother was a painter. He was a family man. He took care of my grandmother, my 2 brothers, and I. I was studying political science and criminal justice, I was on my 3rd year of college, and had to drop out of everything, come back out here to protest and fight for his justice, and in the process advocating for other families as well, because prior
prior to George Floyd's case, a lot of people weren't aware. A lot of people didn't care, and so trying to be that voice that I wish I had, and in the process honoring my brother's legacy, and so yeah.
And can you talk about the importance of now, it seems like there's more awareness, there's more visibility, more people are standing up and demanding justice. Can you talk about why it's so important that this momentum continue?
Yeah, absolutely. So we saw protests every single day since May 25th in Minneapolis, St. Paul, all across the Twin Cities and also in the suburbs surrounding the Twin Cities area. There was at least 1 or 2 protests going on for the first month or so, and we saw the momentum start to die down, and unfortunately it took Jacob Blake getting murdered again to bring that momentum back up. And earlier I spoke, and it's to let people know that, like, hey, this isn't just for like a week or 2. We're living this, and it's our reality regardless. This is every day, whether you decide you want to come out and march or not, and our lives depend on it. At the end of the day, you're walking, what, a mile, 2 miles a day? What is that compared to the lives of ours? It's not enough to just have a BLM yard sign. It's not enough to hashtag BLM in your bio, tweet about it or anything like that, because at the end of the day, my life is still at risk. Everybody who looks like me and pigments darker than mine or even a couple of shades lighter are still at risk. None of that really helps. Put your body on the line, use your voice, use your privilege, advocate. Don't let the momentum die down.
Absolutely. And so I saw you respond. It looked like there was an incident at the end of the block. However, we were informed that community marshals responded and they were able to de-escalate. I saw you respond to it. Can you talk about what you witnessed when you kind of ran down there and intervened?
Yeah, so we had someone who wasn't a part of our protest who was walking down the sidewalk, and as one of my friends was rolling up the flag, she had the flag upside down, and as she was like rolling it up, this man came and like tackled her and hit her in the ribs and tried to snatch the flag from her. And as she was wrestling with him over the flag, we were able to intervene and separate her and the guy as well, and have, I guess, circle him to kind of question him, and then I came over, grabbed her to validate so that she could let people know if that was the guy or not. I'd seen it, but it was more important that she identified him as well. And so with that, he was escorted out, and we were able to calm the situation down and de-escalate.
And just really quick, I know that you have organized and participated in dozens of protests. Can you talk about the continuous, presence of agitators and how there are designated and trained community marshals on site to help de-escalate some of those situations?
Yeah, absolutely. So while we have seen people and the momentum die down and less people come out in marches, we've seen a lot of people come out of the uprising, like BARP, like the bikers riding against police brutality, and they have stepped up and they have helped in terms of cars that are trying to run over people and just in situations like that. But in this case, we were able to see white marshals put their bodies on the line in between to protect a black woman who was assaulted. But personally, for me, this is probably one of the worst I've seen for a man to put his hands on a woman, especially a black woman on top of that at a Black Lives Matter rally, to really show that even when we're fighting for our lives are still at risk, and we need people to step up. And I'm so glad that the marshals were able to put their bodies on the line. And I was happy to see that there were white marshals specifically putting their lives on the line or putting their bodies in between, and just helping her be okay, identify, and we're gonna bring you away from the situation to provide you with what you need, space, whatever that may be. So we've seen a lot of de-escalation. I know the marshals take de-escalation training, so do the bikers. We've seen a lot of people step up from the uprising and continue to do that work, and we have at least 1 or 2 incidents at every rally, and unfortunately, but we're able to de-escalate. I know there is trauma that comes from situations like this, and hopefully my friend is able to heal, I guess.
Maya, anything else you'd like to add tonight?
I would just encourage people in Minneapolis, St. Paul, in the Twin Cities area to come out tomorrow at the march for Lionel Lewis. He was murdered by police in 2002. I would just encourage people to find out about these other cases and continue to stand up for these families and advocate for these families and be voices. Get more involved. There's always more you can do. Local organizations support independent journalists like Unicorn Riot, who is always on front lines doing the work. King Demetrius, Louis Tran, HP, Sean, a lot of these, Brad Segal, a lot of independent journalists who are continuing to share our story, continuing to follow up with our journey. We've seen a lot of the local mainstream media come in, be the opportunists that they are, take advantage of our trauma, take advantage of our grief, and as soon as they got what they needed to push out the narrative that they wanted to kind of like leave and not see the whole process through. And so I'm grateful for independent journalists. I would encourage people to support them, continue to do more research, continue to find out about these hashtags that have gone unnoticed, and continue to come out, put your body on the line, donate to independent journalists, donate to these organizations, because a lot of the times we're out here re-traumatizing ourselves, putting our lives on the line for, I don't know, just the fight against injustice is just out of compassion. And so
thank you, Samaya, so much. We appreciate it. Again, if you're just tuning in, we are downtown Minneapolis. You can see there's a little kid over here who's playing. Folks gathered here starting at about 5 o'clock, marching for justice for Jacob Blake, who was shot in Kenosha, Wisconsin. There were, I'd probably say, about 600-700 people who marched from the government center here in downtown Minneapolis down to the Minneapolis Precinct. There we heard from about a dozen community leaders and other individuals who have relatives that have been shot and killed by the police, like Samaya Aiden, like Delshia Perry, other organizers who are creating movements to present community alternatives to police. And so this is so significant because about 2 months ago, individuals were out in the street protesting the death of George Floyd, and now our neighboring state, Wisconsin, is experiencing similar encounters with police. Kenosha, Wisconsin is actually in between Milwaukee and Chicago. About 100,000 people live there, and a black man by the name of Jacob Blake was shot in the presence of his own child. He is in hospital care right now. He is fighting for his life. And so right now what we're seeing is kind of the die down of a march that started at 5 o'clock. Individuals came back here, wrapped things up, and now we're just kind of hanging out trying to figure out, are folks going to head home, or is this movement, is this gathering going to migrate to other places in the community? So as you can see, there's probably about 100 people who are left, even though the march is officially over. There's about 100 people who are out here still. And so if you tune into our live feeds often, we are a nonprofit horizontal media organization. We are entirely funded by donations, and so if you have been informed by this live stream, we just encourage you to donate. You can go to our website, unicornriot.ninja. There should also be a link in the comments below. We appreciate those of you who have positioned us to be able to continue to do this work. In this day and age, we understand how important it is to have independent voices and individuals like ourselves who come out on the ground up close and personal to individuals. For example, the incident that happened at the end of the street here, I don't know how many other media organizations are really going to be able to get to the truth of what happened, or how that incident may be sensationalized. So it's so important to continue to fund independent media organizations. So we want to thank all of you who have donated and encourage those of you who may have been informed by this live stream today to go ahead and make a donation to unicornriot.ninja. I know that we're probably going to be out here for a little bit longer, just seeing, what happens Like I said, about 100 other people are hanging out, some people dancing, some people still have their signs up, some folks chanting, all in solidarity for Jacob Blake. Well, it looks like they're getting ready to actually open these streets back up, so we're going to go ahead and turn it in for the night. We want to thank you for tuning in. Again, if you can donate, unicornriot.ninja. We have Nico on the back end. My name is Georgia Ford. Chris is actually operating core, and so thank you for all you who tuned in today and continue to support alternative media. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
We got word that we need to get on the plaza. Please get on the plaza. We're going to get out of the street. So please go to the plaza if you'd like to continue dancing or whatever you'd like to do with your business. So we got to clear the street. Thank you. Clear the street. Thank you.